got all the ingredients: 6 cups of flour, 3 eggs, 3 large eggs, a cup of sour cream, and a stick of melted butter, and a teaspoon of salt. I think I said a half a cup of milk, but not sure. And you put it in the mixer, and then you put the piece on, lift it up, and then slowly let it go so it doesn't go all, if you put it on fast, it'll go all over the place. This probably takes a few minutes to get all of it going. My last batch, I forgot the butter, but it looked pretty good, so
yeah, it did.
It wasn't a bad thing. I got it. Yeah.
Did you put the milk in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now once it gets where the most part is, I will put it on a faster spin because you need to get all these ingredients into one bowl.
Oh, so it leaves it out.
Mm-hmm. Now you see how there's nothing left on the bottom? Now it's done. First I'm using, this time, 3 cans of silver floss. And I rinsed it a lot, and now I'm going to boil it with salt and pepper to get some of the sourness out. 5 pounds of, well, almost 5 pounds of onions, but I'm only going to put some of them in right now, but when you're making the pierogi, you're going to need it after you boil it down. Put a stick of butter on and start melting. I took about 2 of the onions and sliced them super thin. And I'm going to use these for my kapoosta. They'll break, since they're super thin, they're going to basically break up in there. And the rest of the onions I'm going to chop because I need it for making the rest of the pierogi. And always, when you have onions, you got pepper and salt. Give it a little bit of flavor. And in the meantime, let this cook and get some of that out. Doesn't have to be on super high because you don't want it to boil over. And just get these melted before you're going to drain this and put it in. The rest of these onions, I just end up putting it in there and cuts it. I'll show you. Well, I think I want them a little bit smaller, so I'll cut them, some of them in half, some of them not. Put it in through, and then they go in, and they're going to be good. The easiest way to do it. These are all chopped and ready to be saved for when I'm working on the pierogies. And in the meantime, this is, as you can see, turning very thin, and it's going to be like melting into the sauerkraut when it's time. But we want these nice and soft before we put that in there. So onions look like they're pretty good. So I'm going to be draining the getting most of water I can out of it, because our whole thing is we're going to be cooking it to get all this water out of it. Cooking it in butter and onions. We definitely will be adding some more butter. Today I don't have too much time, so for it to cool, so I'm going to use a glove because it's really hot to squeeze all the water out that I can get. Okay, you dump it in after you get it all out. And I mean, as you can see, you're not going to even see the onions, but I will add more butter. At least another stick, maybe two, but I'll try one stick at a time. I got to watch out. Medium low. And let the next butter melt because you want it to fry a little bit. So you might need more because I'm using 3 this time. Normally I use only 2 cans and 2 butters, but we'll see what we can. Potatoes for the potato cheese. We have to add another butter because when you look at it, there's nothing. Even though I'm melting, there's nothing. You need to show at least some butter so that it could be frying in. So 3, it's usually probably, if you use a can, a stick to a can, I guess. We'll see how it goes. I peeled all the the potatoes. This was about 4 pounds, I think, or so. So I wash them usually and then drain them a little. And then boil them till they're done to make mashed potatoes. When you're boiling your potatoes, you probably know already, but potatoes like to have a lot of room to boil. So make sure you have extra room on the top. So when they start boiling, and you don't want to boil them on the super high because they'll boil over. And this, you can tell, is starting to change. It was that white color. It's turning more yellow, which is good. I still got it on a medium heat. But when it gets frying and you get all that water out, it'll turn more yellow. And I'm debating if I need some more onions in here, but it depends how much you like the onions, but it's all to your taste. And again, you can salt and pepper again. Salt. And I put pepper in, so eventually you're going to be tasting it to see if it's the way you like it. So, but this will take a long time to cook on low, to cook down. So, probably 40 minutes, but you keep watching it and you keep stirring it uncovered because you want this to come out of it, the water to come out. I tasted it and it still doesn't have as much flavor as I like. You can tell that it's going to go down a lot more still, but looking at the bottom, there's still could use some more. I tasted it, so I put in a butter and some more chopped onions. You can use this sliced, you can use chopped, it doesn't matter. Normally I use it chopped, but I sliced it in this one, but I'm gonna cook those down and then I make my mashed potatoes after they're cooked, which you can tell because it's so easily, you can get into it so easy. Drain them, put some salt and pepper, a stick of butter, and I don't know, maybe a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of milk. And that's it. Start mashing. Pretty good. Back here. They don't have to be browned, they just have to be soft. So we'll put it in, and now I'm just gonna mix it in. And now basically all we're gonna be doing is cooking it down. So I don't like a lot of water in mine, but it tastes pretty good. Taste it, might need more salt and pepper. Some people put mushrooms. And if you put mushrooms, you would like to cook it with your butter and onions, so I don't put any mushrooms. But you can see at the bottom, it's a little greasy, so that's good. This is all good sign. You didn't want white and dry. Okay, cook it on low for pretty medium low. So it's been cooking for a while. It looks a little bit darker if you want it more darker, but pretty happy with it. Give it a taste if you think you need more salt and pepper. but this is perfect. You can see some onions in it, but it doesn't matter because it just all tastes good together. How the dough should look. Every piece picked in, or put in, and it feels like it doesn't stick to your hands, but it's still sticky, and it holds the shape. We take some of the dough and square it out a little bit. Turn this on to, I do a below 1. Turn it on medium and push it through. And I know it's coming out like this, so don't worry, because we're going to do it again. And the slower you do it, the more it'll be tiny like that. So fold it a couple times, put it up higher. And it's still chunky, so we're going to do it again. And the dough is pretty heavy. I usually use a little less dough at the time, but and I change it to number 1. I'm going to put this one through again, but I'm number 1 now. And it's still too thick for pierogi, and don't worry if you've got some holes. This isn't the best one, but I'm going to try it again for you guys. Hope it goes through. And I put it to number 2. I don't worry about the ends. I like it a little faster. And this one, a lot of people use number 2. You could use number 2. And I didn't do it this part here because there's a hole, but you press it and twirl it. And you make your, don't have to worry about them being perfect. Take the ends and put them back to be re-rolled in your dough. And then you start filling these. Now what I typically do is make it a little longer because we have enough room to make it. So it'd be easier to get it over. And we're gonna make kapoosta ones first. Tablespoon thing. Cut it as close to the edge. It's better if it's colder. And then you put it, and make sure you don't get it around the edges, because you want it to seal well. Now with this dough, it'll seal good without having to put water. It's a nice one. Now you can put a little less. Depends on how you like them. A lot of this has to depend on how you like things. See, this one had a little too much. Let me just take it off. And you could be wearing gloves, but I washed everything. So then what we do is put this over and try not to have any air in there. So pull it over. Oh, so I made a hole in it, and this is probably not gonna stay because anything with a hole will not work. So this is unless I can figure this out, this one's no good. Okay, so anyway, you go around, go to the next one. And that's what I do. Some people use, but I just smush it together. It's hard with one hand. And then I know it's sealed and it's done. Then we wait for the next step. But like I said, if you have a hole in it, it's not going to heal. So this one's pretty much no good. So what I typically do is at the end, I'll boil it and get whatever this is out, and we just eat. These are skins. And we take them and we put them in the boiling water. Should be boiling much faster. And we let them boil. Some people boil it till it floats. I like it like about a minute to 2 minutes. I want to make sure they're cooked. Well, they're floating anyway, but it's just like a ravioli. So once it starts boiling, it'll go. And then we're going to put it in here to coat, and then there to cool. Ice, take smaller amounts when you put it through. So this one, I'm going to get it on a thinner amount. So just wait, so then it ends up pulling. You see we got a nice dough, smaller. So you do a few at a time. And then you take it over the cup. So I now changed it to a 1 tablespoon. It's much better. Fits better. These things are floating around and they look pretty much cooked. We didn't have any open. Then we put them in here. I don't see any open. And then what we can do is, you don't have to immediately do it now, but I flip them. Oh, this one opens, so this one's going to be food for testers. Ugh. And then I pull it over here, usually closer. How do I know the dough is thin enough? You can pretty much, you don't want it too thin and you don't want it too thick. And the reason why I coat these is so that when you're cooking them, they don't stick together. When these guys are cooking, so you can still, like I flipped them around, but if they're white, they look pretty much done. If they're yellow, like the dough was, they're not cooked. See how I do these sometimes? They don't have the ends. You're still fine with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these things don't always have to be the same. So it's working out good. And we're getting these. Looks good. I had 2 that I didn't care for. But as you get going, you get the feel of it again. And I found out that after you put them in here, let them sit a couple minutes because they harden up and it's easier to transport.